Hi Superheroes, and real so back, man! Sorry, I know I talk too fast and loud sometimes, and I'm trying to work on that. But Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur Season 2. Now since Season 1's premiere, I've made my stance on the series very clear, way too often, but honestly this time around I didn't really want to force a video out unless I had some meaningful thing to say about the new episodes. I felt drained talking about it, I felt some of my passion fade, and I just wanted to enjoy it as it was without worrying about content. Then I watched it and it consumed my entire brain. It's the only thing I can think about 24/7, so I don't think this was a hard choice. But yeah, Moon Girl Season 2, after 10 months, it's here. Halfway at least. Yeah, this time around, Disney decided to drop 14 full episodes at once, which is unheard of, even on cable. 2 episodes a week, genuinely crazy for a Disney Channel cartoon. But thankfully, this time around, the season was designed around a mid-season break, and we have 10 more episodes before the finale, so it's evenly spaced. Just way too much at once in my opinion. So to account for this, and to not force out another half-hour video in the same month as the last one, I'm gonna go episode by episode this time around, similar to my latter half of Season 1 coverage. So let's just get started already. Woo! Episode 1, The Great Beyond. Oh, here we are, the big season premiere that I was terrified to watch. Yeah, as this episode got closer, the more details and previews we saw got me a bit nervous. Only 22 minutes after a cliffhanger like that, introductions of Devil Girl and Molecule Man in the same episode, all of it didn't seem possible, and I was worried it'd be lacking some of the promise the previous finale set up. And yeah, it sort of did, but it's still a pretty solid outing overall. Stranding both Lunella and the Beyonder together was a great way to expand on them and their relationship, especially considering the Beyonder was pretty much hopeless throughout. It genuinely feels like we got them to bond, and it's sort of wholesome. Then we finally get to Molecule Man's introduction, and in the fight against him, he genuinely feels unstoppable. The ending really feels more like a narrow escape than a real victory, and that unnerving feeling really works for me and sets up a really interesting second season. Still, it's a lot for 22 minutes, there's some interesting concepts set up here that haven't returned yet, and weirdly everything Lou and the Beyonder goes through here is practically erased next time they meet up. Still, I think overall it's a good time. No Moon Girl landing type of meal, but what can be. Episode 2, Suit Up. Now this is more my speed. Exploring how Lunella's PTSD affects her judgment and ability feels like a great choice to follow up the intense past few episodes, even if I feel they mostly brushed past all the more lax stuff to focus on Molecule Man. Plus, by including the desert setting and additional exploration of Mimi's past, it feels like a nice change of pace to the typical Moon Girl episode. Plus, since it's in the desert, we get new designs for Lunella and exclusively Lunella, but even the ridiculously over-the-top suits kill, and the finalized new design is great. Love the color scheme, it matches the one I use for my background in these videos, so automatically 10 out of 10. So yeah, with all of that plus the ridiculously smooth mixtape moment I haven't even yet mentioned, it's a good time, arguably even better than the season premiere. I said it, good episode, sums up, and the season is only getting better and better. Episode 3, Belly of the Beast. I need to stop speaking. Man, do I hate being mixed on an episode this early in the season, but listen, I think it's a great choice to focus on how Casey was impacted by the happenings of OMG issue, and every cartoon needs a good shrink yourself and go inside a creature episode. For some weird reason, I don't really get that, but ultimately, this is an episode that depends on a conflict between Lunella and Casey that just gets exhausting to watch by the end. I get both sides, I understand what they were going for, but it's still just too much and consumes the episode with icky energy, if that makes any sense to you. Still, Devil shines as a neutral party going through way too much in a short period of time, and it overall ends on a sweet enough note, but in the end, it might be the most middling episode of the entire show so far. Episode 4, Ride or Die. Oh, now we're really cooking. We got our first bottle episode. Kind of. Nothing about this one feels bottle in the typical we need to save money approach, but more as a creative restriction to create a more tense and interesting episode. This one's all about Moon Girl on a train trying to deliver a villain to S.H.I.E.L.D., Quick-Lip. But when the train stops and they run into Quick-Lip's own threat, it becomes a fight to make it off the train alive. Now aside all the fun train shenanigans, the real highlight comes from Quick-Lip herself, not only being forced to work with Moon Girl, but also into discussions she brings about the morality of villains and why they do what they do. There's some small, but inherently important depths to the topic in this episode that even some big blockbuster superhero projects don't get right, and I absolutely adore that. Alongside all of that genius, we get a hilariously passive-aggressive villain in Lady Bullseye, Devil living up to his name, a smooth mixtape moment, and the miraculous revival of Maria Hill. Overall, just a treat and my favorite episode of the season so far. Episode 5, Kid Kree. First off, shout out to Zolo Maradreña for conquering both DC and Marvel within 6 months, which has to be a new record. Secondly, another really fun one. I like how this one plays to expectations while subverting them at the same time. Marvin and Lunella are genuine friends, while Kid Kree and Moon Girl are a real match for each other, but neither relationship is influencing the other at first. Marvin isn't actually a bad person, and Lunella is sincerely interested in being his friend. It's a nice change from the typical way this kind of plotline is done, and makes it so when they both finally realize it's more tense and heartbreaking. Well, being completely hilarious, not gonna lie. I think the note it ends on is the best way they could approach this, and I'm glad Marvin almost became sort of a recurring character after this. Plus, we finally got to a return of LOS 307 and the most reasonable explanation of why nobody thinks Lunella is Moon Girl yet, so overall, great episode. Episode 6, Wish Tall. Okay, so here's some background. Going into the season, I predicted the Beyonder and Lunella would become all buddy-buddy, with some of these clips and screenshots from the season premiere and the description of this one hinting towards it. And guess what? I was 50% right and I hate it. Now I have to emotionally care about this funky guy. Weirdly enough, he's the strongest and weakest aspect of this one. I like how his approach to getting close to Lunella is giving her everything she wants, just because, once again, he doesn't get human culture, but I'm not sure why it feels like he's developed since the Great Beyonder, but Lunella forgot everything but the initial moment where she got stranded. Also, since he's just a wishmaker this entire episode, he almost has nothing to do and kind of loses some of that charm he typically has even when being evil. I do like the blow up that comes at the end. It leaves their relationship in a really interesting spot for future episodes, but out of his episodes so far, this is certainly the weakest, as he's barely even involved. This is an episode all about peer pressure and social trends, and while it's a fine message, I feel there was a very similar one in a later episode this season that feels more rounded out. That leaves it being alright overall, but nothing more than that. Besides Jermaine Fowler's performance during the credits. Now that's Oscar-worthy.
What happened? Wista! Answer me! Wista, wake up! Oh no! What?
Episode 7. Make It, Don't Break It. Now, since we're halfway through the episodes we're covering, there's no better time to show off my complete series ranking. We got all the normal tiers here. C, B, A, S, and of course, S, but I can't mentally take rewatching this one anytime soon. Yeah, this one snuck up on me. I finished it and sort of just had to sit there for a moment. But for a really good reason. On paper, the episode doesn't sound that deep. Lunella's school gets a new science teacher, and since she needs a sponsor to participate in a Robo-Rules contest, she gets her approval, but slowly cracks under her expectations. It sounds simple enough, but the way the show depicts it with visuals and music feels devastating. They know how to make you feel everything Lunella goes through, and when they finally get to a breakdown and panic attack... Sorry, Paw Patrol, but you might have real competition for Best Animated Panic Attack. I am chronically online. This is a Moon Girl episode where the final fight isn't against some villain, but it still manages to feel like a battle and is satisfactory in the end. I mean, what is there to complain about this one? There's a villain thrown in towards the end to make it feel like there's a bigger consequence to Lunella's breakdown, but they just get defeated off screen? Sure, yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's it. 10 out of 10. One of the show's best in general. Episode 8, The Devil You Know. This one was written for me. It's no secret that Devil's episodes in Season 1 were some of my biggest weaknesses. I know they're not objectively the deepest, but they make me smile and I like that. So to do another one that plays directly into Lunella's arc this season while also introducing a bunch of other goofy animal sidekicks, sign me up right now. Genuinely just a fun time. The whole ABCs are pretty one note, but I like the idea of a sidekick support group and how they're so petty that the only one discussion topic is how mad they are with their supers. Plus, I love how all of them, besides one, is pretty much just having a misunderstanding while Devil realizes he's pretty much overreacting to the whole scenario. Plus, by cutting to Lunella realizing how much she misses Dev while on the road, it ultimately just brings them closer together while also giving Lunella a serious push to reveal the truth to her family. It's a great double-sided story with some goofy antics and a sweetly cheesy mixtape track that I've listened to way too much. How is this my mouse listened to one of the season? And overall, I love it because of that silly dinosaur. He can do whatever, and that's all I need. Episode 9, Dog Day Mid-Afternoon. David Tennant Space Dog? David Scrooge McDuck Tennant? David whatever the hell a Doctor Who is Tennant? Let's just normalize loving an actor for exclusively one role. Pops finally got an episode, and it's a pretty fun one too. I love that despite the whole episode revolving around Lunella getting shot down on a crazy series about Franklin, she's not fully wrong in the end, just coming from the wrong place. A wequel show would have her being fully wrong, so I appreciate this change from the norm. David Tennant is David Tennant, so he's great. He could have been used more as his voice doesn't really pop up until the third act, but he's fun to throw in there, and I'm glad they directly explained why this alien dog has a Scottish accent. Plus, with the return of Small Devil, a dog pun for every minute, and all the dog pictures in the credits, it's overall just a feel-good time. I was gonna end with a dog pun, but I don't got any. Did you know this episode has the longest first act out of any episode in the show so far? Yeah, 9 whole minutes before cutting to commercial. That's awesome. Episode 10, In the Heist. Continuing with fun facts, this episode has a different title card style than normal, and it made me say, ooh. As the title says, it's a heist episode, but not in the way you'd expect. There's no Moon Girl here, nor Casey or any of Lunella's family. Nope, it's actually with Lou and the STEM kids from a few episodes back, weirdly enough. They're all fun enough characters for this premise, but I feel like they needed a bit more screen time before this outing. It relies on those specific qualities for the heist to work, but we learn those as they pop up in the episode, and I wish they served more as payoffs than character introductions. Plus, if we're nitpicking here, they clearly have a pre-established trust with Lunella that we don't know about, because she says something really crazy with no evidence and all like, yeah, let's rob this museum. Not to mention, there's a last-minute twist that contradicts an issue they established earlier in the episode, so boo! Besides all that though, this is a really fun one. It's genuinely just fun seeing this ridiculous heist play out, and while some elements feel more childish than the typical Moon Girl episode, I think it works in the episode's favor, and that stupid mixtape track is stuck in my head 24/7, please send help. It has its faults, and it's nowhere near the deepest episode, but it's charming and fun enough to work. Also, one last note, I love how Devil is canonically just a really great artist now. It was one of my favorite jokes from Coney Island Baby, and I'm glad it's now a calling trait. Episode 11, Warlord Jam. Pops got 2 in 1 season, and it's a direct callback to season 1, so either we're a whole year out now, or Warlord Jam is just a weekly occurrence. Either way, this is a good one. For now, it's a fun addition that not only brings out a petty side in Pop's typical sweet attitude, but also explores his past, which is nice to see. Blue Streak is also a great foe for being completely over the top. This man is just a maniac, and I love him for it. However, this might be a bit of a hot take. Message-wise, I feel this episode is a bit confused. Moon Girl has a big speech at the end that the real villain is greedy landlords and not each other, which, yeah, screw landlords. But honestly, this feels like a sudden attempt to make the episode deeper than it is. It really comes out of nowhere, and it's not really that needed. Pops and Vernell's story earlier in the episode has plenty of deep stuff in it, so I'm just confused why it's there. It's still a fun time, good message about community that every online fandom probably needs to hear, and that's really all I have to say because this video is getting really long. I was supposed to be a quick one. Episode 12, Dancing with Myself. Now, screw this video being short, I have plenty to say about this one. It's the dance episode, baby. Every show has to have one. If it doesn't, is it really a show? I mean, yeah, but who cares? Dance episode! This was the one I mentioned earlier about peer pressure that does it in a more subtle and smart way. When everyone gets a partner for the dance but Lunella, she feels deflated and becomes desperate to find a date. I think I prefer this to Wish Toll due to its subtlety. There isn't a single influencer telling everyone what's cool, it's just when some people start going on dates, everyone wants to date even when they aren't ready for it. And I think that's what this one nails so well. It's not that taking a date or not is a bad thing, it's that kids grow to those stages at their own pace, and that's okay. Out of all characters, Devil points this out early on because he felt like parenting this episode and he nails it, but it takes until Marvin shows up also unprepared for dating for Lunella to realize it, which I love because it shows sometimes it takes more than just being told something to accept it, sometimes it requires experience. Also, I love Lunella and Marvin's dynamic in this episode. They're easily shippable characters, even the show tries to hint towards it sometimes, but they're still just kids being kids, and that's sweet. But since I mentioned shipping, I guess I finally have to have my say on which Moon Girl ship is my favorite. We got 3 big ones here. Lunella and Casey. They're close enough where I get it, but also fans call this one Media Moon, and that's just a really goofy name. I'm sorry. Negative points for that one. Lunella and Eduardo. This one was mainly fueled by a fast forward in adolescence until this one, and while I respect his passion, he spent this whole episode being jealous, and I don't know if I like that. And of course, Lunella and Marvin. This one is the most established, and if they were to go for this one canonically, it wouldn't be surprising. They share a lot of cute moments, and Marvin says he likes Lunella, so that's wholesome. But ultimately, I think it's safe to say none of them because that's the whole message of this episode. I didn't even get to mention the villains this episode are Big Moss, but who cares? Fun
Let's go get Moon Girl and Kid Kree. Good idea.
Episode 14, Family Matters. Oh boy, here we go. This one is a lot of drama as the Lafayette begin to question where Lunella runs off to all the time, and the tension feels genuine and at times hopeful. This is all perfectly balanced with the introduction of Turbo, a super who already lost her family due to her identity, with Moon Girl desperately hoping she can bend those relationships but ultimately finds out it's not that possible. It's pretty much a humbling dose of reality episode and I dig it. I love how Moon Girl and Turbo slowly open up to each other despite Turbo's hesitance to work together. Casey and O'Drone get a bigger role this time around, which is nice to see, and I love how the ending ties the whole episode together in a clever way. But I'd be lying if I said a lot of this wasn't just set up for Episode 14, The Molecular Level. Here it is, the big mid-season finale. Listen, if you watched through the previous 13 episode reviews, you should be ready for this by now. There is no practical way to review this otherwise, and Disney spoils it right there with the sum on the service, so don't be too surprised with me, okay? Anyways, Lunella's family finds out she's Moon Girl. Finally! And I love how sincere this whole thing is treated. I know I questioned how they wouldn't put it together by now, but I like how she's given this moment to reveal it to them all, and they really don't believe her. They all process it at different speeds and have different reactions to the news, and I'm glad they gave a whole episode to develop this still. Wait, what was this one called again? Holy crap, Molecule Man is back, and since he can't find the Beyonder, he's out for Lunella and her family as it becomes a fight for survival as Lunella tries to fight while her family is still trying to protect her. This is one of the show's very best episodes. In nearly every aspect, the family tension and drama between members feels genuine, Molecule Man feels like an insane threat, and with the excellent coloring and sound design on display, it feels tense like he might actually do some serious damage. Not that I expect anyone to die in this TVY7 superhero cartoon that can't even show a punch to the face, but who knows, he might throw Pops into another dimension or something. There's actual stakes here! And when it finally builds to that mixtape moment, there is no insane sounding noise I can make with my mouth that can describe how this moment made me feel. The reuse of the song from the Great Beyonder that slowly gets remixed into a triumphant tune as Moon Girl gets some serious hits in, with the crystal smooth animation and the wings metaphor coming full circle. To conclude Molecule Man's story on such a sweet note, just to have that crushing moment at the end with the empty credits, my jaw was dropped on the ground for this one for 22 minutes, y'all. Genuinely fantastic. Haven't been this hyped watching a show since OMG issue 1? Probably. Either way, a fantastic way to end this first half of the season and easily one of my favorite episodes of the series. So that's it for the first half of season 2, and while I may have been more critical this time around, I think that's more due to being used to the status quo of it all and having more breathing room to talk about it. I still really enjoyed it, and I really wish we could have experienced this in a normal airing schedule as intended. I'll be sure to come back and talk about season 2B whenever that drops, and season 3 of course. If that's picked up. If it isn't, you will never hear the end of it. I will become Bob Iger's living hell, and I will single-handedly destroy the Marvel Cinematic Universe piece by piece until they give us the conclusion we deserve. So I guess I'll see you for that. Bye!